Hi everybody, welcome back to the Junkie Channel. I'm your host, John Junkins, and it's time to nerd out. I got to see Spider-Man Brand New Day on Thursday. I've been spending the entire week avoiding spoilers on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok, on YouTube. I have been avoiding so much. And honestly, this is probably the most blank I've gotten to a superhero movie in a long time. I wanted to do that so that my opinions and my thoughts would be fresh, you know? I don't want to be swayed by any social media evil people, you know what I mean? So did this movie live up to my hype as a really big Spider-Man fan? I mean, big Spider-Man fan. So did it live up to the hype? Yeah, it's a really great movie. Spider-Man Brand New Day takes place about 5 years after the events of No Way Home, which, when I first heard about that, I was really scared. Very, very anxious just about that big of a time jump. I was scared that it would lead us to feel a little bit disconnected from Tom Holland's Peter Parker because we're missing such a big chunk of his life. But I actually found that the time skip worked very, very well. We get to see Spider-Man do a lot of Spider-Man stuff, and I think it's explained in a way that makes sense why we never had to jump into this 5-year gap. He's been working. He's been doing grounded street level things. Like there's not much that we needed to focus on. And plus they do a really cute montage in the beginning that feels very Spider-Man. That's the best thing. This feels like Spider-Man. And I think that's something that the MCU Spider-Man has been missing for its entirety. Not that I don't not like the Homecoming films. I actually do kind of love the Homecoming trilogy. I really don't mind it. But I will say that there is a little bit of a disconnectedness because he was always sharing the light with somebody, or it was always the stakes were always so high and not the grounded New York City level that people come to love about this character. So we strip that all away in No Way Home, and then you know, we bring him back to the basics for Brand New Day, which I think is a great choice. We're stepping forward to pull him back. This poor version of Peter, dude, holy crap. They make this movie feel very isolated, I will say. You can feel Peter Parker's emotions and his depression and his struggle to connect with another human being. I think the MJ and Ned thing is handled very well. I'm gonna say that this was another thing that when announced that they were returning, I was a little bit skeptical about. I didn't know if it would work. I was like, this feels weird. It feels like maybe it's too soon, but no, I think it fits like super well. They are in this story for a reason, fully for a reason. There's a beautiful conversation that MJ and Peter share that really, really made me emotional. There's another scene right after that also made me very emotional, and nothing terribly sad was happening in it. It was just really bittersweet. The swinging looks real good. The swinging looks incredible. And I also think that's due to the fact that the camera movement is just really good. Destin, the director, the director, he has the sauce. I mean, we all saw it with Shang-Chi and with Wonder Man. R.I.P. R.I.P. Dude, this director has some freaking sauce, dude. Yeah, the swinging looks really good. The action is incredibly dynamic and incredibly engaging to watch. I do agree with the criticism that's online right now that we saw way too much of the big action sequences in the trailers for the film. Because truthfully, every single big action sequence has been shown off in the promotion. Which, sure, that sucks, but guess what? It looks so good still. I mean, when he fights the Hand, when he fights the Hulk, I mean, they just make Spider-Man kick absolute ass, and I love it. That's the thing. Spider-Man is really, really cool in this film. He's very much a friendly neighbor everybody loves this guy. It really does feel like he is the New York superhero, which is another reason why I love this film so much, because it is a love letter to New York City. I never knew I needed more New York City love propaganda, but I need it. As a NYC resident at the moment, this movie made me emotional with how much it loved the city. The credits just being beautiful shots of people walking around in the city and just enjoying life. Dude, give me 20 more! The inclusion of different characters like the Punisher, Yelena, and of course Sadie Sink's character, which we will get to, actually, they all work really, really, really well for me. This is what the MCU should feel like. Should feel like we can integrate all these different characters into different genres and ratings and make it not feel like these people are completely different characters. The Hulk still feels like the same Hulk that we've had for a very long time. Punisher, while definitely a little bit more PG, is like really funny and a highlight of this movie for me, and I don't feel like it ruined his character that we've been with for a very long time at all. Yelena actually being in this movie, it made a lot of sense to me. And you know what? I found her scenes that she was in hilarious. And it did not stick out like a sore thumb to me at all. Sure, it felt a little bit cameo-y, but honestly, I was like, yeah, you are in Marvel, New York City. Of course you are going to run into someone like that. Okay. Sadie Sink. Sadie Sink is Jean Grey, which about 30 minutes into this film, I knew it. For the weeks and months leading up to this movie, I did not believe that Sadie Sink was Jean Grey. I don't know why, but everything in me kept being like, I don't think they're gonna do it. I thought she was gonna be something else. I thought she was gonna be anything else. I thought she was gonna be Rachel Summers. I thought she was gonna be Fire. I don't know who she was gonna be, but something in my brain was like, I don't know if she's gonna be Jean Grey. But it wasn't until, for some reason, when we had that first big action sequence and Grandma was mind controlled, whatever, and then she started hopping bodies, something in my brain was like, that's Jean Grey. And you want to know what? Sadie Sink's performance as Jean Grey is pretty good. People have been criticizing this movie because they feel like introducing her in a Spider-Man film is kind of weird. And while I don't disagree with them, I also think it's very warranted, because the character arc that they send both Jean Grey and Peter Parker down perfectly align with one another. So her being the main villain of this movie does not bother me. It doesn't bother me that much. And you want to know what? For all the people that are being like, this is not Jean Grey, this is not her character, guys, this is her first introduction to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She did some evil shit in this movie. She did some evil shit. I'm not gonna lie, she was straight, like, absolute demon. But you want to know what? Jean Grey is She is a demon. And you want to know what? This is a very younger version of the character. This is the beginning of Jean Grey in the MCU. We have a very long way to go with this character. I am treating this as a sort of chapter 1 or like a part 1 to her character. This is like a prologue to the Jean Grey we're gonna get for the next 10 years, you know what I mean? And I already kind of like her character. It definitely does something new with Jean Grey, and I found it very, very interesting that she was kind of this moody teenager. I think she was a teenager, maybe she was in her 20s, I don't know. But still, there's a lot of character growth to go, and I think I'm seeing this as the MCU will kind of be trickling the mutants in the next, couple movies. I assume that Black Panther 3 will have Storm. There's been some rumors surrounding that, so we might get Storm, which would be really cool. So they're obviously setting up the X-Men, and they're obviously setting up the next saga for the MCU. So this is not character assassination. It's just the beginning of her arc to get to the Jean Grey that we know. So I really like Sadie Sink's version, and I'm very excited to see her grow, and I'm very excited to see what they do with her character and how we sort of establish the X-Men as a whole in the future of the MCU. Okay, back to Spider-Man. Brand New Day is a very worthy movie. I'm not really gonna get into much else about this film. I'm working on a really, really big Marvel marathon movie review for next week. I'm reviewing every single Spider-Man movie, so keep on a lookout for that. And I wanted to include this movie in that video. I will be giving you a score. I'm seeing it again today. Today as I'm recording this. Probably not the day that I'm posting this. So my score might change for next week's video. I'm giving this movie a 4.5 out of 5. Spider-Man is so back. This is one of the greatest Spider-Man films ever made, and probably one of the best MCU movies ever made. It's pretty good. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for enjoying this review of Brand New Day. Tell me what you guys thought about it in the comments. I will see you guys next week for my big Spider-Man review. Okay, see you guys in the next one. Bye!